Hello, everyone. Welcome to our show. You are in the East African Affairs show. Today, I'll be with my guest. And my guest is one of the Tigrayan scholars, a world class professor, Professor Mulugeta Gebregziabher. So stay with us. Professor, welcome to our show. This is our second time, I think. We met in Tigray last time, and this is the East African Affairs show. So, welcome to our show.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am so glad to be a guest in your the East African Affairs program, Dr. Haile, and hello to friends of Dedebit Media and followers of Dedebit Media.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So, we'll be, looking at the different details on what's going on in Tigray, especially, but we'll be assessing a bit into East African affairs. That's why the show is East African Affairs Show. But I would like to start with your private experience, like personal experience, I think. I believe that your experience could be a motivation to the young scholars, especially, but it could be to everyone. I personally am really amazed and impressed with your time management skill and motivated by your achievements as well. I would like to uh, go into some um, audiovisual displays on showing your achievements. I don't think that I can display all, but just as an example, I'm a gym man. um, you might have heard about my gym, my love to gym, and I saw some photos that you're spending time in a gym, and you're also, this is actually your 9 to 5. In this country we call it our 9 to 5 career. So your main career is a university professor. So your achievements in your academia is really remarkable. I take it most of the time. I look into your profiles, and that is really remarkable. But it's not only that. um, I see you sharing a lot of information, just like what the journalists do, advocating about Tigray and Tigrayanism. This is a lot to me to even explain. I want you to take me through or walk me through your achievements in academia and other projects that you might have. But I would like to let my audience know that this guest that we have here, right here, is a multitasking guy. So, how do you manage your time? And what are the secrets and the lessons that you think could be, used by others for a remarkable achievement just like you do?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Dr. Haile, for the kind words. I appreciate it. Uh, I think my I always say I am truly blessed, uh, and in real terms, I'm not actually just saying this because I always have appreciated, whether it's a blessing from my mom, from a stranger, or from any person that comes in contact with me. So, to that extent, I feel that. So, some of what you see in my productivity is really partly blessings, partly hard
Mhm.
work, and partly really focus on what is ahead, what is a priority, what is important. Those are kind of what I would call soft attributes of reason why people could see I am as productive as I can.
Mhm.
But in order to be able to achieve some things, you need to be hardworking. Definitely, I put myself in that hardworking group of people. I wake up early morning around 4 a.m. And as you have seen, wherever I go, whether it is at a conference, vacation, or at home, I do actually go to do self-care. Self-care, partly it is going to the gym, partly it is jogging, walking, eating healthy food. And I enjoy also, let's say if yesterday in the town I am in, there was a National Basketball Association game, an NBA, which is the premier basketball league here in the United States. And there was, Sixers and Pelicans were playing. So I went to watch the game. It's like 2 hours at night. So that's like a time that I spent enjoying what people are doing, competing against each other. So that competitive spirit, when you see it physically in that arena, it has something that it teaches you in terms of being competitive, in whatever you are doing. So I do this as part of. So I don't waste my time on things that don't help me much to grow. The other thing I do is because I am in public health, I also see this as part of my mission. Actually, my contribution to society. If you are a professor at a university, especially a professor in a department of public health sciences, there are three things that you are required to do. Number one, you have to do research. Number two, you have to teach and mentor. Number three, you have to provide service to society. So I give service to society in different ways, whether it is through what I communicate in media. If you see my LinkedIn account or my Twitter account or even my Facebook account, I typically post one public health message a month, sometimes two, but on the average one. And I touch on so many aspects of societal issues, whether it is COVID, AIDS, physical activity. And recently, because I am working on prostate cancer in men, I have also posted, some advice or public health message regarding prostate cancer. So this self-care and science need to be together in order to impress or teach people about what you are doing. The other aspect of this is I am a very expressive person. I think I grew up learning, in a church school, in a Sunday school, where you recite, songs, biblical, verses, and things like that. So that in by itself has helped me not to be shy. Okay, in front of a camera, in front of even huge audiences like this today. I was in this big conference where I had to come out and do my presentation, my scientific presentation. So all this could only happen if you establish yourself to be self-confident, self-aware about what you do. So those have helped me a lot. The other thing is, Dr. Haile, if you have passion for something, so the reason I feel I'm successful is I try to incorporate whatever extra thing I do to my profession. So take Tigray, okay? Tigray, when conflict happened, what does conflict do? Conflict is a cause of all evil, right? So think of, let's say, health. It destroys health infrastructure. It kills health workers. It denies people the basic health care that they need to survive. So it is really against everything that I took oath for, which is do no harm, right? That's the principle. Do no harm. But war, conflict always harm people, harm society. So when I'm advocating against war for peace, what it means is I am actually doing public health. I can justify it to my employers, to my bosses that, this is politics. No, it's not politics. Look how it is related to what I do in public health or in the scientific work so whether for instance, if I am doing music, you know how music kind of has its own impact in creating happiness, releasing stress and depression. So I could justify why I am doing that activity. When I'm citing or reciting poems, I write poems freely, actually. This is something I grew up with over a long time.
Yeah.
But by the way, I may have about 100 poems that I have written over the years that are still sitting there for somebody to take them to be published. But so those are really things that I call consciously and deliberately do because they are related to the bigger mission that I have is, keeping people healthy, people at peace, of communities and societies at peace, and also in terms of building partnerships. Some of my work, if you see, actually tries to build partnerships with different types of people, with different types of institutions. So you can add to that. Now, where do you get the time? Where do you get the resources to do this? Is, I think, one of the most important questions that needs to be addressed. In terms of time, that is where you hit even in your questions, time management.
Yep.
If you wake up early, do your self-care. That means ready your body for the day. I think that is a very important thing. I mean, some people are going to stay in bed until 8 a.m. and, they are in a rush, to go to work. And then they go to work. And then even when they come back, I think that routine is debilitating for your body and for your brain. So wake up early, do some self-care. And if you get a chance, do some reading, some writing, and things like that. And then, you go to work, you do your function of the day. And then you have also lunchtime. What do you use your lunchtime for? For me, lunchtime is a time where I talk to my family members. I have sisters, I have brothers. So that is the most important time where I connect. There are times where, because my son is a medical student at the same institution that I work on, and my wife also works with me on the same institution. So every Wednesday, we take time to eat lunch together. And then, kind of update each other about what has transpired over the week, because we don't see him enough because he's very busy in medical school. So those are things you design. You don't let them happen by accident. So unless we put this every Wednesday lunch in our calendar, maybe our son could say, oh, I have this, I have that. I could say, I have this, I have that. So, but it is already in our calendar. We don't take our lunch on that day. So we are forced to go and eat together.
Wow.
and then catch up in life. So I think, to sum this up, one of the things that keeps me going on this, which is very important, is people outside of actually the Tigrayan society have recognized what I do as important. So I get a lot of kudos, a lot of appreciation from non-Tigrayan institutions. Like, for instance, the International Statistical Association, institute that you showed the certificate.
Yeah.
I was until this month, I was the only elected member. I think Professor Kiros has joined me in 2025. He is now elected also to be a member of this. So we are the only two now Tigrayans who are elected members of the International Statistical Institute. We are both, the ASA fellows. To be a fellow, you have to go a lot of mileage in your profession. So those achievements, I have received the APHA Peace Laureate Award in 2022 for work that I do related to Tigray. So all these recognitions come from institutions that see my work, that see the impact of it, that see also that the work is not like, an activism type. It is based on research evidence, on facts. I support what I say using research that I produce for the purpose of that statement. So, all this, in all, unless you are a blessed person, I think you don't get it. But, blessings are not enough. You have to also add some hard work, dedication, and commitment to what you do in order to achieve this. Now, last, the resource aspect. The resource aspect requires also another dimensional hard work. That is, you have to be able to partner with people to write grants. So one of the things I have done over the last many years is, partner with, people in Tigray, partner with people here in the United States, and get grants for the type of work that I do. So this, for instance, one of the many grants that I got recently is for work that I am going to be doing in Tigray on digital women's health. So this is going to support people who are working with me from Aksum University and Magala University, and also the Tigray Health Research Institute. So this type of resources that you get from international organizations through partnerships, through hard work, really. This requires a lot of invested time to put together the grant. And as you know, for every 10 grants you submit, you can only get one. It's a 10% success rate. So it's a very tough competition. But if you persist, insist, and work hard to achieve some things, I think it's possible to be able to support your work through grants and through partnerships. So, all in all, I am happy that things are working out for me, and I hope they will even get better in the years to come.
Wow. Thank you for sharing this, old professor. It actually forced me to say something about things that you do. We're not, of course, we are on a show which actually deals in East African affairs, but this is really critical for people all over the world. Unfortunately, we're doing it in English, and especially for our young scholars, I think this is the best model. Let me share some things just to add on what you said. We're not just saying it; it's just practical. You can go to Google Scholar, and I was just looking at the number of publications that you have published. Man, it's more than 250 publications all over there. It's holistic. It's not just specific to biostatistics, which you are a professor in. So I was just looking into these publications, which got more than 9,665 citations. And there is an H index there. The professionals know what H index is. So it's more than 52. And this is not the only thing that you do. This is, of course, your 9 to 5, as I said it earlier. But I can see that you have side gigs, really, and I believed that these side gigs look like that they are your day your day job. For example, you mentioned about music, and you sent me a link to a song, which I'm going to invite my audience, just grace them with this really beautiful song. Invite them after the show. Actually, we'll release the whole content of the video later. But I am really amazed. I am a bit into art, but when I heard this one, you just told me that this song is a song that is produced by you. You're the writer, the script writer of the song. You're the producer, and you have been engaged in directing. This is really crazy. This is amazing. I don't know how to add these special words to let people know that we as human beings can be multitasking and effective in all. This is really important note that everyone should take from this one. And when we talk about the gym, I sometimes post some photos and videos when I exercise, in a gym. I record and post them. Some people happen to, put some unnecessary words, but that is really important in one's life. Exercising is the most important things that everyone should be engaged
In
in.
your body, highlight. It shows, Dr. Highlight. It shows in your body. Look at
Yeah,
what you look
absolutely.
like. You're very fit.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. And I'm amazed. You exercise and you do this artistic stuff. You are in art, and you publish articles related to Tigray. You advocate about your country, your people, and your homeland, and you're also excelling more than anyone. you know you're among the models that I believe are my models in academia, publication, and publishing in the highly recognized reputable journals, and getting cited this much is what we call is the best model in academia. So this is, I don't know what to say in here, but everyone who are just watching this video, they will take a big note today. I would love to hear from you for a minute or two about this song before we proceed to the second question. Can you say some words about this song? This is really really impressive for me because I am also in art. I have been producing some films before when I was in Ethiopia. So could you say any word about this?
Yeah, I am so glad, to hear this really melodic words in your beautiful language skills, highlight. So, actually, this is my niece, that little girl, who is playing like my wife when she was a little girl. And I have also my nephew who plays as me in this movie or in this video clip. This is my wife's mom.
Wow.
So the family is also actually, in this film, in this video clip. So
Mm.
how it started is, for like I told you, I write poems. So
Yeah.
I do write poems for different reasons. It could be Tigray sometimes. It could be the TDF. It could
Yeah.
be love. So if you go actually to I have a video channel that I put some of this
Yeah.
clips.
Hmm.
So. Uh, last year was our 25th wedding anniversary for myself and my wife.
Hmm.
So I was trying to do something meaningful as we celebrate. So I wrote already a poem the year before.
Yeah.
So I said, how do I go one step higher? So
Wow.
I started this project of writing the music, and then there is this amazing guy in Tigray called Tigray, who
Hmm.
is the director of Gujilla Bahal Tigray.
Yeah.
We collaborated over so many things actually. We wrote We Are the World Tigrinya
Yeah.
song.
Hmm.
So we have done so many things together. So I shared with him, I am interested in this. How can we do this? So he gave me some ideas. He connected me with, the studio people in Tigray.
Hmm.
He connected me with the singer that you see here. So we started the project. It took us maybe about 6 months. So for me, it was a night job because day over there has to be night here. So I had to get up maybe at that time 2 a.m. Sometimes even sometimes 1 a.m. to be able to direct them live
Hmm.
to what they are doing, editing the song itself. So that poem that I wrote the year before is changed into this song Ta'adila. So
Hmm.
Ta'adila is, I am lucky, I am blessed to have found my sweetheart,
Yeah.
and that I call my wife right now,
Yeah.
who is the mother of my kids. And then I talk about where she grew up, where she went to school. So she was born in
Wow.
Amdo. Amdo is this
Yeah.
very famous place, and grew up in Addis, and then went to school to Asmara. So I go all the places. So people who heard, who listen to this music in wholesome
Yeah.
or in full,
Yeah.
actually do find themselves in that song, because it does every aspect of life that any person go through, whether it is finding love, going to school, moving around, and then the family aspect of it. Who are the families here who are intermarried, who came together to be celebrated in this fashion? She comes from, the Dr. Gebregziabher's family. So
Oh.
you would see in the video that we also highlight the contributions of Dr. Tola, rest in peace, father.
Yeah.
It's just an important aspect of me. Like you said, people sometimes say, "Why do you do this?
Yeah.
Why don't you focus on that?" I don't even hear them, frankly speaking,
Yeah.
because these people haven't recognized the value of these extracurricular activities that you do, how much they elevate your even scientific work, or the work that you do for society. This is also important to society for that matter. But those are kind of I think, the angles. And I'm glad that we have some commonalities. Maybe this would be an opportunity
To
to
collaborate.
collaborate. I am a
Yeah.
very good collaborator, Dr. Haile.
Yeah.
So maybe this is an opportunity for us to collaborate in the future too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I promise I will bless everyone with this song at the end of the show. So let's come back to the East African affairs, and our concentration today is going to be on Tigray's issues, Tigray related issues. So I'd like to take the opportunity to ask you your understanding, to ask for your understanding on the current state of Tigray, just to begin with, and then we'll go into the details on how we went through all the Makhata stuff, the campaigns that we've been engaged in. So I have a lot of questions after that, but I would like to hear your understanding of the current state of Tigray. What did you say here?
Yeah, so I think probably if somebody was to ask me to summarize current state of Tigray as we
Yeah.
speak, so I would like to be a little bit optimistic, because Tigray has gone through 2 years of really, really, the deadliest war, right? According to the Washington Post, according to the Economist, uh, and then what we call a genocidal war. So Tigray is going through actually still a genocide, but that conflict, that fighting stopped in 2022. So that is the baseline for me. I don't want to go back further than that. Because
Mhm.
for this purpose, for the purpose I'm going to describe the state of
Yep.
Tigray right now, I think that was like the rock bottom. So now I think we seems to have emerged from that, kept the peace, the relative peace for 2 years,
Mhm.
uh, and then we went into deep political crisis for about maybe 6 to 8 months,
Absolutely.
probably now a year almost.
Mhm.
And that political crisis has really, really created a lot of chaos
Mhm.
within Tigray society. Tigray society in Tigray, as well as Tigray society in the diaspora. Well, unfortunately, the way President Getachew, after honorably given the position that he was given to be a president, I mean, once in a lifetime that you become president of the people of Tigray.
Mhm.
I mean, it's the most onerous thing you could receive. Uh, and that would be, like a precious thing that I would keep
Yeah.
as a prize for somebody to be honored, to be, given the responsibility to be the guardian, the top guardian of the Tigray people. I don't think Geracho made the best use of that opportunity, and the way he disgraced himself going out, one, without peacefully transferring that power that he had without, saying even a goodbye to the people of Tigray.
Yeah.
And the way he went to Addis Ababa and gave press conference in media that has been the most vile enemy of the Tigray people. And on top of that, the way he mischaracterized so many things, both in media and the diplomatic community, to me, that was like, he is a good friend of mine. I love him as a person, but what he did with this, that was kind of a departure point for me. And so that is the saddest political phenomenon that I have witnessed, in recent times when it comes to Tigray. So that is where we are. So we are in a state of situation where we have been emerging out of a crisis, since he left. Now, my challenge is I was very hopeful that his departure would bring an immediate response to replace his post with somebody who is capable, who is acceptable by the Tigray people. But that hasn't happened yet. We know that there are rumors that General Taddese already has been nominated for this role, but there is no official word. Now, a few days have passed, probably almost a week, right? So that concerns me by a bit, because I know it's very, very hard for me as a Tigrayan to trust Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed at this point, because what he has done in the past had made me not to trust him much. So I don't know what he's trying to do, but at the end of the day, this is about Tigrayans. This is about the Tigray people. This is about Tigray. So all political forces, all security forces, everyone in Tigray, diaspora or in the country, needs really to rethink this instead of fighting, squabbling about things, to identify this very important, window of time. Actually, this is a real time where we are at crossroads, Dr. Haile. A real time where we are at crossroads, and whichever direction we go will decide, or the destiny of the Tigray people and Tigray. So to summarize this, I think I am hopeful and I am optimistic we might actually come out of this with somebody who would take the mantle for the next, 6 months before the election, or 10 months, to do the bidding of the Tigray society, or Tigray people. And there are, pretty much 4 important tasks, right, that have been given to the Tigray Interim Regional Administration. But 2 years have passed without doing any of this. So usually, you are a professor, I am a professor, you have been a student at some point, you get a scorecard, right? At the end of a term, at the end of a year. So you have the semester and they have a year. So I have a scorecard for the TIRA every few months, and now every year for the last 2 years. And their scorecard is very, very disappointing. Their performance is close to zero, almost, you can say, on the 4 important subject matters. They have done other things. Remember when we were in school, you are given, you take maybe 10 courses, but the most important ones that count are 5. So in the case of TIRA, they are 4. On these 4, they almost are at 0. And these other things, they may have scored, some points. So I think that is critical. And maybe part of this assessment, Dr. Haile, is that the Tigray security forces, a few weeks back, have made this decision, right? This conference, and came out with a 13 points decision. I think since that day, actually, I remember what I wrote the day I heard the press conference by the famous Tagadalai Gebregziabher, which I loved during the Makata time.
Yeah.
And I met him in Magala, and we have pictures together. Actually, I love the energy of that guy. It's very, interesting. So when he gave that press conference, the thing that I posted on my social, media is congratulations, Tigray. I think from here we are going to be in the right path if this certain points are implemented immediately. But the problem with Tigray, me and you actually talk about this quite a lot. There is this indecision, right? Indecision. You decide not to decide. So they come with this certain points. The implementation has taken days and weeks now, and as a result, Tigray is in limbo. We are in this current state of really, really bad situation because they didn't implement or they didn't enforce what they have decided as security forces. So, all in all, I am optimistic, and I hope they realize that every day that passes without implementing these certain points is going to deepen the crisis. And the deeper we go in a crisis, the harder it is to come out. I'm not going to tell a hydrogeologist this. The deeper you go,
Right.
it's hard to come out of it. So let's be hopeful, Dr. Haile.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll try to relate what's going on in Tigray, especially what the enemies that I would love to call them with are doing on the Tigrayan generals. Of course, they came up with the 13-point decision, but the practice was really delayed, significantly delayed, and that actually depend, on that has given to the enemies an opportunity to rethink and entangle what's going to be done by the generals. So they are now disinforming the world as if the generals, the Tigrayan generals, are against the Pretoria Agreement, against peace and stability in Tigray, in Ethiopia, and even beyond. They're trying to relate the Tigrayan generals with, to what's going on in East Africa, this terrorism stuff. They are trying to kind of joke as if one of the Tigrayan generals, you can take General Mugwe Haile, is commanding the Fano group in Amhara, and as if the Amhara group are not fighting against the Ethiopian government, the Ethiopian military on their own. So they're trying to disinform the world. So what's your take, and how do you think this can be fixed as well? So this is actually my main question, because I don't think people, especially Tigrayans, are in a way to understand what is being done by the Ethiopian government. Disinforming the global community, disinforming the world, is not the only thing that's going on in here. They are disinforming Tigrayans as well. They are just, creating this crisis, chaos in information, and end up with no one understanding what's going on, and then they can do their thing the way they want to do it. So do you think that we are in a good understanding of what's coming up by following all this information stuff, especially on the generals? What's going on in there? What's your take?
Yeah, so I think this is a very important question that is actually related to what we just discussed about current state. And most of what would happen in the future hinges on what happens with regard to this current escalation that's coming from the federal government of Ethiopia. So let me start first by looking inward, Dr. Haile, inward. Okay, so remember, the indecision that is going on by Tigrayan authorities is killing Tigray. They have to come out of this shell of what I call indecision practices and be, decisive in what they believe in. They never let the war or the Makhata, in this fashion, right? They were very decisive at that time. They will take action on things that come against them, against the people of Tigray. And that's why they were successful. That's why it didn't take 17, 20 years to come to this state of preserving at least Tigrayan society from the meme and the genocide that was declared against the people of Tigray, despite the huge forces that have tanks and banks, drones, and every type of air warfare. So I think when I look inward, what is hurting, the leadership, this is something that they got from the politicians, right? Tigrayan politicians are really always have been indecisive. This is the practice. They always wait until the last minute to take action. This has been the practice for a while now. But these generals have not been like that. I mean, the security forces, their practice typically, that from my understanding, was they were very decisive. They take action quickly and immediately. But when it comes to their decisions in recent years, and you eloquently describe this in your Tigrinya programs every day, Dr. Haile, where you tell them, you have to decide today. You have to do this. This is overdue. This should have been done yesterday. This is always what you call them. I see you being mad at these people almost, which I am also frustrated, by the way, by the delay in taking action. So when I look inward to Tigray, unless they make sure that they decide and then take action to implement that decision, things are going to unravel on them again and again. So let's follow this one step at a time. So they decided, right? 13-point manifesto, and then they didn't implement it. They waited, and then what did the other group start? They started violations of rights of people in Wajarat, in what were these different areas in the south.
Yep.
They started attacking them. Saharti, or right?
Yeah.
So they stopped attacking the police. They stopped attacking the constitutionally mandated Waredas and Tabia leaders. They started even attacking now the military. That army that is there in stationed in that area. Now it didn't stop there. And then what was the next step? Because they haven't implemented. They got letters to the 3 top generals of Tigray. They just got fired by 3,
a one line letter.
Is that one?
One line letter for each of them.
Yeah, for each one of them. Can you imagine? And I remember, I was also saying this actually on social media, but you are saying on your media all the time, this is going to come and unravel on yourselves. You use this word, it will come on your neck, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So and that has actually happened too. Now the escalation is now not only within Tigray, is going outside too. So let's see the outward look. The outward look is the recent, probably very, very concerning escalation is the letter that's written by the Ethiopian National Defense Forces accusing General Megway. I mean, the symbol of heroism and articulation actually. Why this general is very important for Tigray. It's not just because it's Megwa as a person or as one Tagaralai. He's a symbol. General Megbahaile has been a symbol of the Maghata and the wars before that. So as a symbol, they are trying to attack, this symbol of the Maghata of Tigray. So at the root of this is not this person called General Megbahaile or Megbahaile. That's not, to me, that's not how I see it. When I say I am Megbahaile, that is what I am saying. I am this symbol of Maghata Tigray. Do you remember what they did to General Confedanyo?
Right. Yeah.
What they did to General Confedanyo, they were not per se attacking one person. When they put hand chains,
handcuffs,
and put this, whatever orange color or yellow color jacket on him or whatever clothing,
uniforms of the prisoners.
It was not really humiliating. It was not only humiliating that person, right? Degrading the person, Confedanyo. They were doing it to the
people of Tigray.
The spirit, the spirit of the fighting spirit of the Tigray people, attacking it. So if people are not recognizing this attack as an attack to the institutions of Tigray, to the fighting spirit of Tigray, they are missing the point. So when I say I am Megbahaile, that is what I am saying. When we said at that time I am Confedanyo, that was what we were saying. Not literally this person called Confedanyo or Megbahaile. So that is number one. Number two, now that escalation has grown. I don't know the veracity of this Ethio Forum report about the 42 generals, where we are hearing that they have suspended their properties in Addis Ababa. I mean, I don't think I care much about that, because they could go and fight for their rights as people, and their families, their friends could help them with that. But the attack is not really about the property.
I think it's not even new. Again. I think it's not even new. It's been done for the last 4 years, and it wasn't only for 42 Tigrayan generals. It was for everybody. They have done it, and it's not a big surprise, of course, but you can relate it to what has been reported, the accusation against Megbahaile and the other generals. You can just relate it to it. But I would like to add one thing into what you're saying, if I'm not sort of interrupting you.
Please. Yeah.
Is it because of the delay in implementation of the Tigrayan military decisions, or you think, just like what I think, our political setup is like a firefighting staff? It's not just dealing with the root causes of the problems in Tigray. We know the enemies want to wipe out Tigrayans, and to wipe out not only Tigrayans, even their history. They already have said it out loud. And we have a lot of witnesses internationally. Pekka Haavisto, the Finland prime minister, I think he was an envoy of the European Union. He told us that they told him out loud they want to wipe out Tigrayans. So I believe it's two reasons that we have, two problems that we have when we look into inwards, as you said. It's the political setup, which is a firefighting stuff, not dealing with the root cause, and then the delays on implementing decisions. Do you believe this way?
Yeah. I think core, that indecisiveness, Dr. Haile, it's partly what it brings is, firefighting, and it's, unfortunately, the firefighting is not also controlled firefighting. So in this country, there is what we call controlled firefighting. Okay, so they start fire to kind of destroy the things that could become aggravators of big fire if it starts in a forest or something like that. So to clear up the brushes.
Absolutely.
But it is controlled fire because they can go and easily take it out after it has done its own work. That's not what happens in Tigray. In Tigray, because of the indecision, they wait and wait and wait. And then when they are deep in crisis, they start firefighting. They start firefighting, and that fire doesn't, is not put out easily. And it brings other consequences to it. So I think that is true that the more the approach that the political figures in Tigray use is that is the approach, and that needs to change once and for all with these new people that come into position. What saddens me is this is percolating to the military, to the security forces. They were not known for this type of stuff. I mean, think about the Makata, Dr. Haile.
Right.
At the Makata, it was, even though it was the saddest moment in my life because of what happened to Tigray, it was also the proudest time in my lifetime, because the time, June 21st, the time when they defeated PP and the Ethiopian forces, the Eritrean forces, and every forces that came to attack Tigray and declare victory in Magala, I don't know, I have never been joyful, joyous, and very proud Tigrayan. I think if you go back to that time, see my Twitter posts, my social media posts, that is what you will see. That's what you will witness. And it was during those times where I was also very active in Twitter space. We have celebrated this one of the best holidays that has ever happened. Okay, I don't know. Maybe at one point that day would be celebrated as a national holiday in Tigray. So why I'm taking it back there is they were not like that. At that time, they were very decisive. Now, they took this measure of 13 points decision, and because of the lack of implementing it immediately and decisively, you saw what happened with the Tira, right? Now, Tira is in limbo. I don't think we have, right now, its date has expired. The new law that was supposed to, renew the tenure of that Tigray Interim Regional Administration, or Tira, I don't think has been yet ratified. So where I'm currently in another limbo, and add to that limbo this additional escalation. Call it this is truly an escalation from the Ethiopian Defense Forces. And I don't know, given that Wadwareda or General Tadesso Oreda has been talking to Burhanu Jula, has been talking to the Ethiopian Prime Minister and other officials, why they are making all these statements, why also he is not coming out strongly rejecting and denouncing these statements, God knows. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know, maybe you know more, because these 2 days I haven't followed the news because I am in a conference. But at least until the day I came here, where I was able to follow up daily what's going on in Tigray, there was no actual response to this confluence of escalations that are coming from the Ethiopian Defense Forces. Now, I tell you, all this thing that's happening, whether it's to General Migway, to the 42 generals, or generally to the TPLF. Remember, the TPLF hasn't gotten its legal rights yet, right? The Ethiopian National, Electoral Board has suspended it, at least in paper, even though the Prime Minister meets with Dr. Gebregziabher, Dr. Fisaha, and they went to the African Union meeting after that, all that. I mean, it's now nil and void, practically. That is how the international community would read it, because Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed already met with the Tigray figures, even though the NIP said you can't do political engagement as a party, which is ridiculous. So it's not only attacking the Tigray Defense Forces, or security forces, its attack has also continued on the premier vanguard political organization that Tigray has, the TPLF. So all this, I think, underlies to me that maybe there is something undercurrent situation that we are not understanding yet. That the prime minister and only the prime minister would know what actions he would take, because it looks like every decision has to be made by him. Now, and I think part of this question is that the people who were in the Tigray interim regional administration who have left Tigray, right? Some of them to the United States, maybe some of them to Nairobi, some of them to Addis Ababa. I have heard that there are also one or two of them that left to Israel. So all these people, imagine, they don't have any reason to run away, because nobody in the Tigray security forces has said they will detain them, as far as I know publicly. I haven't heard any word that their security was under risk. Even President Getachew in I think in one of the interviews he did with Riot Media, he said that he never had that type of feeling that he is in danger or is at risk of something. He left for Addis because he was invited to go and meet with the prime minister. That's what he said, right? Even though later he embellished it with something, they told me this, they told me that, which is hearsay to me. I don't think he should have said that, by the way. As a president, he should have trusted his vice president, his, chairman of whatever the Tigray security forces. He should have trusted them and worked with them instead of, being this outsider. President of Tigray. So those are kind of some of the manifestations. I think to conclude, you hear this allegations and accusations that there are forces in Tigray that want war. There are forces in Tigray that don't want peace. There are forces in Tigray that are collaborating with Eritrea. There are forces in Tigray that are collaborating with the Amhara Fano. All these are allegations. And sadly, they are being repeated, echoed, and even broadcasted by some Tigrayan elites and some Tigrayan media here in the diaspora, as well as Tigrayan media. I mean, in Tigray, there are two media outlets whose job is, fanning this type of allegations. These are, many of these have been refuted by the TPLF itself, have made official statements. I don't even understand why this media would go to these rumors instead of focusing on the official statement of the TPLF
and the military,
on the official statement of the Tigray security forces, and in the official statement of the generals themselves. And have you have seen how General Megway came and articulated his position with Ethioforum. And I have had one diaspora guy who goes to these different media outlets complaining against Ethioforum for not asking him this question or that question or it's ridiculous. Ethioforum has really become probably one of the premier Amharic media broadcasts, and what they are doing, what they have asked the General Megway is to explain to them whether what is being accused of is true or not. And he was, very succinct, to the point. He never accused anybody. He just only told them that he's not involved and he's not interested to be involved in that kind of thing. So, and he said he respects and works hard for the implementation of the Pretoria Agreement. That is the official statement of General Megway. That's the official statement of the Tigray security forces, and that's the official statement of the TPLF. So why are people insinuating that these forces are asking for war? These forces are working against peace. Where does this accusation come from? I just don't understand it. And I call upon the international community who would have a chance to listen to what we are talking. You believe in institutions, I hope, and please, unless it is an official statement of these organizations that have a track record of actually, keeping their word when it comes to what they put on paper, please don't listen to these rumors that come from here and there. Thank you, Dr. Haile.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I would like to, I would love to connect what you said now to my next question. I believe there is a misunderstanding by the international community on issues related to Tigray. I don't believe that they got it from the real ground of Tigray, from those who have the track records of peace and stability in East Africa. So it's not only Tigrayan issues, but also beyond that, like the regional issues are not well understood by the international communities. And especially when it comes to Tigray, that's the base of stability and peace in East Africa. So I would be really happy if you can add some explanations or few words about how should the international community understand what's going on in Tigray. We discussed about what's going on in Tigray, and that was actually helpful for those who speak English, but Tigrayans, like the Tigrayan diaspora, especially the youth, that would be really important for them to understand what's going on in Tigray. Now, what we have been discussing so far. But now, as you said it well, the international community might be listening to Tigrayan media or some other media, but they have to be selective to the point that, to selective on medias that actually broadcasts the reality. For example, if you take Ethioforum, they didn't add anything. They just interviewed him. They gave him the opportunity to respond to the allegations, and he responded in a well-articulated and well-organized way. He said it well. So instead of listening to those who've been accused and those who are responding to the allegations, why would they go to those who are just aggravating the instability in the region? So from the beginning, from ever since the last 4 years, they have been leaning towards the disinformation. So I would love to hear from you, and if you can indicate some ways that the international community should stick into to get the reality on what's going on in Tigray and in the region as in general. What would you say in this?
Yeah, I think that actually, yeah, this is a nice follow-up to our previous discussion, Dr. Haile. So you see, the international community has multiple sources to the type of information they gather. Okay, so they have their diplomatic channels, they have the media, and then maybe even more, confidence that report to them from different angles. There are analysts around the world who have become sources of information to this, decision makers in the international community. So, even though the international community, especially countries like the United States, even countries in the European Union, or even Canada, most of their decisions are made by what they call national interest. But I think when it comes to facts, they try to collect them from what they trust are sources. So I'll give you. I have written a couple of articles, as you know, about this in Ethiopia Insight, in the Hill, and I have given talks, in big platforms, international platforms, that would try to educate people about what's going on. So, for instance, this example, peace through diplomacy desperately needed in the Horn. I try to describe, I think, the most important issues in how the Tigray crisis, if it reignites again, could even bring more instability in the Horn of Africa and beyond. The role of Tigray in this whole peace and security of the Horn of Africa is huge. Right. So I try to show that in this article. I also talk about who the key people that are now in this new Trump administration are going to be, and whether the coming of the Trump administration. My recent article in Dedebit Insight talks about how they would probably work with Ethiopia and the rest of the region, what their national interests are, and then what should we do, to be able to convince these new people that are coming. Actually, I will talk about the people briefly that are coming again, so that they understand the plight of the Tigray people. So, for instance, Tibor Naj, who was former ambassador to Ethiopia, who has an honorary doctorate degree from Magala University, who has been, really a follower, a participant, you can say, of Ethiopian politics generally and politics of the Horn. So he's back now in the Trump administration, State Department. Okay, we have predicted that actually in the article that came out before he was assigned to become. The other person that I predicted in that publication who would come to become one of the significant people in the State Department is Dr. Peter Pham. Mm-hmm. He also is this person who is an expert in the Horn of Africa, and he has been advocating for Somaliland to become a state, a nation state. Mm-hmm. So potentially, I would say there that Somaliland might actually get an opportunity here in these 4 years to become a nation state. We will see. That's not realized, but at least the people who have key advocacy towards this are now in position to be able to impress President Trump to help Somaliland. The other one is, so generally because of the national interest of the United States related to Israel, and because South Africa has, went to the ICC, right, the International Criminal Court, to kind of sue Israel for genocide
on the Gaza side. Mm-hmm.
The United States has a grudge on South Africa, and they are lashing out at South Africa, at the government of South Africa, including that the severe relationships. Recently you may have heard there is even more targeting of South Africa generally by the United States. We have predicted that actually in that article, Dr. Haile. For anybody who wants to read it, there are 3 or 4 things that have already materialized.
Yep.
But we were just making this informed prediction about what would happen. So because we are talking about the international community, I think the reason I am bringing this is, unless they read articles like that are written actually by people who closely follow what's going on in Tigray, what's going on in Ethiopia. Mm-hmm. I think peace through diplomacy desperately needed in the Horn. Articles like this, and they are actually now 4 of them, even from myself in Ethiopia Insight over the last 2 years.
Right.
I believe by reading those, they could get more about the reality on the ground, because they are based on research, they are based on analysis of the state of situations in the region. So I think that is number one. The other one is, we are publishing in scientific journals about what's going on in Tigray, for instance, over the last 2 years, 3 years. And those are critically important evidences that need to be used. Luckily, for instance, the New Lines Institute in its genocide report has included, about 5 of my work, my publications, as witnesses or as references, as citations for, genocide related to the destruction of infrastructure, health infrastructure, killing of health workers, and things like that. Since then, we have published maybe a few more. Our current, I sent you actually a link to that. The latest article we have is the impact of drones, drone and air warfare on, killing and destruction, killing of people and destruction, killing of civilians and destruction of civilian infrastructure. The first and probably the most important documentation of the impact of air warfare and drone attack during that 2 years war in Tigray.
Right.
We have mapped every attack, actually, Dr. Haile, in that paper that just got published actually in March in Population Metrics.
Yep.
We have mapped every dot, every air attack or drone attack in the Tigray region and the associated outcomes related to it. So I think those are more important information than going to these people with hearsay. And the saddest part to this, Dr. Haile, is that you have big media, especially rated media like The Guardian, the New York Times, the Washington Post. I don't know why they use these anonymous sources when they have actually published work to cite and articulate the facts. So these recent accusations you have seen from the Guardian, the Washington Post, where the TPLF or security forces in Tigray are collaborating with Eritrea to wage another war. This is coming from certain quarters who have an agenda, and in part of this are some Tigrayans actually. One of the people that I was mentioning earlier, he went to one meeting. I don't think he was an invited guest, but he just went there. Maybe even attended it via virtual meeting. But he posted on Washington on Facebook. Bragging that I went to attend this big diplomatic community meeting, and he was talking as if he was one of the keynote speakers or presenters, saying that I told them this, I told them that. So watch out. This is like threatening the Tigray politicians, the TPLF, and he calls them ignorant, stupid. And this guy, I don't want to go and talk about individuals, but these are the type of people who are being used as sources for information. And these people have grudges. They have not only grudges, actually, they have also an axe to grind right now. So that is, I think, critically important as a message to the international community. Last on this one, the people who were in the Tigray Interim Regional Administration who have self-exiled. I don't call it self-exiled. Nobody forced them to leave. They just self-exiled. Some of them, like I said, outside of the country. Some of them in Addis Ababa. They are talking to diplomats. Some of them talking to the media. And I don't think the media should just publish whatever they tell them. They need to verify, and also ask for evidence. Otherwise, this hearsay about, I mean, the most important example here, Dr. Haile, is this accusation about the Eritrea relationship that was made, first just by some people outside, and then later it was the PP apparatus, and now it has gone to the international community and media, right? Do you know how this was really actually a meeting between Getachew Reda and Eritrean government
Yes.
officials,
Mhm.
and it was well known by Abiy Ahmed Ali himself.
Yeah.
It was known and reported by even the TPLF
Even
firing
initially,
bank.
it was even initially suggested by Abiy Ahmed to have kind of discussion with the Eritrean government. The Eritrean and Tigrayan leadership should meet and then do this, do that. So he gave them that direction. They met
Yeah, and he
somewhere.
told them to settle their differences because
Absolutely. Yeah.
that was the reason why Getachew did it. But now Getachew is using it as if this was a nefarious,
Mhm.
kind of relationship, and accusing the security forces. So, I mean, that is where I made so mad at him for taking it to a level where he could have just said, okay, the TPLF politicians are doing this, then it is politics. Okay,
Yeah.
we call it political rhetoric here.
Mhm.
But when he took it to the Tigray security forces, which are, for me, the tip of, that sharp that the Tigray people have when it comes to political exercise, to political sovereignty,
Mhm.
the attack labeled against the Tigray security forces is kind of, for me, a red line that has been crossed by some of these people.
Yeah.
It's not only Getachew. I think the other people who are in that government or in that administration who have exiled themselves are going long miles. If you go to their Twitter feed, some of them are here in the
Right.
United States. What they write there is crazy. I mean, you can't imagine this were part of the Tigray government. They were part of, at some point, the TDF. I mean, some of these people were TDF actually. Now they are here in the United States for one reason or another. But the things that they are writing, that doesn't at all show that they have any love left for the
Mhm.
Tigray people, because whatever they are saying could derail the peace and put the Tigray people in another cycle of genocidal war, which me and you probably condemn and would never like to see. So I think the international community has to do that. Maybe I think something I forgot. I wrote here,
Mhm.
both the Tigray security forces and the TPLF, when there are accusations leveled to them by international media, they need to go out to those international media and respond.
Right
This
away.
is the other problem we have in Tigray is, I mean, there was an accusation on TPLF on that day. Mr. Emmanuel, who is the vice chair of the TPLF, was on Riot Media instead of in the
Mhm.
Washington Post, on BBC, on some other international media. I mean, why? You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that there is this,
I was thinking about a follow-up question,
yeah,
asking you what is missing in the Tigray leadership and even the Tigrayan scholars. Some of them, the self-exiled ones, are misleading the world, misleading the international community. But regardless of what's happening in that track, Tigrayan leadership and the Tigrayan scholars might be missing something in linking the reality with those who are going to take actions, this international community. So, do you think there is a missing staff with the leadership and even with scholars? You're doing your part. I believe I'm the witness. I read your articles, and sometimes it really amazes me on time management. That's why I started with, a question to if you can share us your skills in time management. So do you think that there is a missing staff in the Tigray side,
Yeah,
both in the scholars and the
yeah,
leadership?
100%, 100%, Dr. Haile. I think that's
Mm.
even I have asked these questions, by the way, to these people at many different time points, why they don't do it. I think part of it, they say we are all day in meetings. Well, carve some time for this. Find the best PR person who can do this for you. You don't have to, necessarily come to media every day, every other day.
Mm.
Just find the right type of PR people. Not only one person. They need an army, a cadre of media experts and PR
Right.
experts who could do this, because nowadays it's really information warfare that is the tool of the time in order to really really win the information warfare. So I think that's number one. Number two, even the leaders themselves, they should be accessible to international media. And once it is, let's say they get interviewed by Channel 4, France, or the BBC, they need to make sure that it is amplified again and again, not only in local media, but also like the African media. There are media in Kenya, there are media in South Africa that would be interested to do this work for them. Uh, and I think the other one, rightly so, you indicated is the scholars.
Mm.
So I think our scholars, for me, we'll talk about probably about GSTS, but in general, our scholars, I don't know why they are waiting on the sidelines. Waiting for what? For Tigray to go to another genocidal war? I mean, that question, ask it all the time, Dr. Haile.
Yeah.
Why are they on the fence? We call it being on the fence, okay?
Mhm.
And maybe if they think there is an opportune time where, it's peaceful and they can enjoy privileges, I tell you, they will be the ones who will be at the front. I don't have any piece of land in Tigray, Dr. Haile. I have worked have been to Tigray since 2010, working on global health,
Yeah.
not piece of land in Tigray. Maybe
Mhm.
people could say, oh, you didn't do your job to get land, but it was kind of almost deliberate in a way. The only time I was interested in getting land was to build this philanthropic organization that would help, this idea of building better Tigray through capacity development,
Mhm.
and it hasn't materialized yet. And probably in the future, that would be what I want, not
Yeah.
a personal property. So, but these people, many of these people that I am described, they are on the fence because some of them have properties, some of them have, I don't know, whatever companies, investment, either in Tigray or in some part of Ethiopia, which they don't feel will be at risk. But if another genocidal war comes into Tigray,
Mhm.
all this is immaterial. It's gone.
Mm.
And I don't know, what reason there is, to be on the fence. So that, I think, the grand scholars, I am being blunt here because it requires that type of reaction at this
Mhm.
at this time. They need to come together and work very hard to convince the international community, to inform the international community about what is going on in Tigray. That Tigray, whether it is the TPLF, whether it's the Tigray security forces, but broadly, Tigray society doesn't want another war.
Right.
It doesn't work another war. That is number one. Number two, there is no single official statement from all these parties that I just described that says
Yeah.
we need war or we are going to go to war. Even war is an alternative. None. You would never see. I think the word area is which is
Intention.
our choice is peace.
Mhm.
So I think this information needs to be conveyed. Now, the institutions, both the TSF, the Tigray Security Forces,
Mhm.
and the Tigray
TPL.
People's Liberation Front,
Mhm.
I think they need to come out to international media, respond, and respond as soon as allegations come out. I think General McVeigh did the best job in this one.
Mhm.
It was an Amharic accusation. He came out with Amharic.
Yep.
If there was an English accusation somewhere,
They have
he should write a statement. By the way, one thing that we need to tell, folks who do not understand, this international media landscape. So let's say if there was an article in the Washington Post that says or that puts an accusation on the TPLF or a general or the Tigray Security Forces,
Mhm.
they could just write a paragraph statement, send it to the Washington Post. The Washington Post has an obligation,
Yep.
to say, well, we also asked or we got information from this, and that says that they have denied this allegation. That is more than enough.
Right. Exactly.
So they have to learn, I think, this, and there are a lot of people who could go and train
Mhm.
or give some fundamental training on how to do these types of communication. I think if they have that limitation, lack of understanding international media landscape, they have to
Mhm.
ask for capacity development training, and I'm sure there would be volunteers to help them. But at the end of the day, you are right in saying that both the institutions in Tigray who have really very lucky, uh, not lucky with a U, lucky with an A, deficient. It means PR situation, but also I think the diaspora has to come out and defend
Right.
the Tigray people.
Absolutely. But let me just expand a little bit on the scholars. There is a group of people, group of Tigrayan scholars who have been and who are still working on being advocates of Tigray and Tigrayanism, just people like you. And there are also people interested in the politics in Tigray who have been, expressing that practically, going to Tigray and as if they are called to participate in the politics. And they even have, represented people in the Tira, in the Tigray interim regional administration. So when I look into the professional associations of Tigrayan scholars, just like GSDS, you mentioned GSDS earlier on, the inauguration document of GSDS says that GSDS is non-partisan. It's not an association that is meant to participate in political affairs of Tigray. And per se, the registration of GSDS is in the US. Of course, recently they registered it in Tigray as well. But all in all, GSDS is not inaugurated or is not meant to participate in political affairs of Tigray. But we've seen them sending representatives and even nominating people from GSDS, and some of them were not part of this association and who took part in the Tigray administration, the interim administration. So there is a petition going on against this to recall GSDS's representatives in the Tigray interim regional administration. I would like to hear from you what is going on in here, and where is the status of this petition, who is organizing it, and is it really necessary to go into collecting petitions? Because I hear people saying, oh, like these people organizing the petition are intending or planning to disseminate this association, like it's just a fight against GSTS instead of a fight against the improper assignment given by GSTS to its representatives. What would you say in here? Who is organizing it and where it is? And who can participate as well, if it is still active? I know it, but I want you to say something on it, and then it can be clear to everyone.
Yeah. So this is also a nice follow-up question on what we just discussed. I like the flow. Thank you so much, Dr. Haile, for keeping this tightly flow for people to have a pretty good understanding of what we are discussing today. So I think first and foremost, let's define what GSTS is. It's the Global Society of Tigrayan Scholars. So this is an organization that is officially established, I think, around 2018. And its registration in Tigray is in 2019, actually. And then its registration in the United States as a 501c3 is also a later in I think 2021. So even though kind of the movement for establishing GST started about 2016, I was part of it. And I was actually at the inaugural Grand Conference in Magala in 2018. And I was selected, not elected. Actually, our section, which is the health sector, actually had an election. Turns out, because sectoral bodies were electing their leaders. So I remember now that actually the three of us, Professor Solomon, myself, and Dr. Mara Aragawa were elected into that position. Now later, when they were electing the board towards the end of the conference, some of them were handpicked, some of them were kind of nominated, and some of them actually also self-nominated themselves to become members of the board. So it was at this departure or at this juncture that I had a departing point where, when they decided to include four Central Committee members of the TPLF to be members of the GSTS board. So that was kind of a departure for me in terms of principle. I wanted GSTS to remain non-partisan. Members of any political organization could be members of the organization as professionals and scholars, but not become really the leaders, because it creates immediately conflict of interest. And in my profession, conflict of interest, we sign it every year. So I know it in and out. I understand it very fully what it means in reality and in perception. By the way, conflict of interest has two layers, reality and perception. You have to avoid both of them. You don't want to be perceived. You have also conflict of interest. So, because what you are trying to do is create public trust, and public trust is very important in what you do, especially when you have a big mission like helping Tigray in terms of its scholarly ambitions. So this organization, has had a 501 status registration in California, here in America. But that status is actually now in trouble because of several things that have happened. So I don't want to go into that. So now, fast forward to after the Machata, or after the war. I mean, during the war, GSTS has played a very important and significant role, trying at least to collaborate with other Tigrayan organizations, in mobilizing both resources as well as advocacy efforts. So I don't discount that part, and I appreciate the people who are involved in that. And So even though I had opposition at the beginning, actually, because of this common goal of fighting against the enemies of Tigray, against those who have come to destroy Tigray, to commit genocide on our people, we collaborated on so many things. As I was also vice president of the Security and Justice for Tigrayans, I was, vice founding president for the Tigray community of the Carolinas. Uh, and all this were related because as we were doing the Mahata, there was resource mobilization stuff. So there were so many things that brought us together. And we remember when you were leading the media council, we had even also communication with you because of my role in the advocacy and diplomacy, section or programs of, SJT. So the reason I am bringing this is there were things where good stuff has been done, but once the Pretoria Agreement was signed and during the establishment of the Tigray Interim Regional Administration, for some reason GSTS, ignoring all the other organizations, diaspora organizations, including the SJT, which has also actually a lot of educated people in that organization,
and has done a very practical stuff in during the Mahata time. I am one of the witnesses on things that have been done by the SJT.
And as a vice president at that time, I think we'll talk about that maybe some other time. But there are a lot of measurable. I'm talking about I am a person who comes from science, where you measure things, measurable things that we have done that brought some significant impact during the Mahata time. So anyway, so after that, ignoring all these other organizations that there was a diplomatic umbrella community that was led by former diplomats. Ignoring all these institutions, for some reason, the committee that was organizing the TIRA chose GST to be the vehicle to bring scholars into the TIRA, scholars and professionals. So I think that is where now again a departure point begins. We worked together during Mahata. Now the GSTS few leaders, especially the number one person there, and the other people around him, wanted to take this as their own. I mean, actually, some of them, including the top person, was nominated to become one of the bureau heads of Tigray. So it was at this point where they did really, really bad decisions. I mean, I tell you, decisions whose repercussions have now become, I mean, really very, very, very toxic.
Integrated politics.
So what is going on in Tigray that we discussed? That second question, right? So during this time, they selected a few people through whatever process it was. It can't be a legal process because you can't have GSTS, a non-partisan organization, sending people to play political stuff in the Tigray government in court or administration. So they did this, and then they brought a non-member. So I think I heard that in my investigation when I was writing. I think you may have actually the article that we wrote at that point last September, where we talked about how they brought non-GSTS members to be represented also in the TIRA as representatives of Tigray scholars. So you can imagine. So it was during this time where General Tzadkan was brought to be a GSTS representative and vice president candidate in the TIRA. So imagine General Tzadkan never been a GSTS member. He was part of the Mahata. He's a former military man. So, I mean, if he had formally applied as a civilian to be a member of GSTS, I believe he could. But for intents and purposes, at least he was much closer to the TDF, because he was a TDF during the Mahata time, right? He was much closer, to that than maybe to GSTS. Anyway, through some process, this is not the fault of only GSTS, by the way. This is also the fault of whoever was leading that effort, including the TPLF leaders, including the committee that was chaired by General Tadesso Reda, who manipulated the system to bring him to become the vice president, and then to add these other 4 members. I think 1 cluster lead and the other 3 bureau heads, as part of the JSTS representatives. So this is kind of the description of what transpired. Now, if they were representatives of the grand scholars inside and outside of the country, you would expect that in these 2 years, they would come back to be accountable to what they are doing and report to us, saying that we are doing this. What do you think? Do you have any comments? Like what already does with the military, or the Tigray security forces? Like what Getachew did before the Gubaye time with the TPLF, right? He would go and tell them what he's doing, and he will take all the assignments from them, because that's how things work. He is delegated. Once you go there, you are a delegation, you are a delegate, or somebody who is given this mission to this authority to accomplish the mission of whoever had delegated you or represented you. We didn't get that opportunity from the GSTS representative to this day. I have never been invited to a GSTS scholars
meeting where
briefing or Q&A or town hall by either General Satkan or the other members of the GSTS, for that matter. So that's kind of the reflection of both moral and ethical, and as well as professional duty on them for not doing that. To the contrary, they have started to create this silos of people. Sometimes they call them young people in Tigray, dedicated people in the diaspora. Anyway, they give them these labels, prefixes. Gedusat, Wufuyat, I can't remain silent about Tigray, progressive Tigrayan solidarity, what have you. These are exclusive clubs who support a particular agenda, by the way, according to my understanding. So they created this, and they divided actually the diaspora, the scholarly community, both in Tigray and then the diaspora, and they created this clash to an extent that some people have started to say, attack this, attack that. And some of the, by the way, I am going to say here, I have said this in Tigrinya many times, some of us have been denied access to media in Tigray, Dimts Wayane and Tigray TV, where somebody in the leadership has told them not even to broadcast things that I do for Tigray, HIV/AIDS conferences, Mahata Dirki, We Are the World, I can't wait for Tigray. There are events that I organized in a year to help advocate for Tigray, and even also fundraise for Tigray. We have done fundraising for the veterans of Tigray. And our efforts were always denied media coverage by both Dimts Wayane and Tigray TV. And of course, this affiliate media that you have, whether it's TBS or some others, would never cover us, because they are working
closely with
hand in glove with this organization. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not only that they have started to divide us, but also they have started to even intervene in our full rights of access to the media, access to expressing our views about this thing. So Well, these are kind of basic things, but what gave it away, what made us go to this action of a petition to recall these representatives is, one, they have sided with a group. So when the TPLF, started to divide, whatever happened transpired within the TPLF a few months back, especially before their conference. These people sided with one side, and then especially the GSTS. I don't know if you have that article, but that conference happened. That conference happened. It's GSTS. I think you may have the flyer of it. So what the GSTS did is it scheduled a conference, another grand conference. They call everything they do grand, by the way, which is concerning. I always laugh at this. You can't just call everything grand. At least you have to have only one thing grand. The others should be underneath it. So they did another grand conference, and then that grand conference overlapped with the Congress of the TPLF. So automatically what it did is it excluded at least 50% of the grand scholars and professionals who would have profound influence, profound impact on Tigray socioeconomic and political dynamics, scholarly activities too. So now it's clearly become partisan by just that action. So that is where my first, I think, statement when that news broke out was, I think, immediately. So some of the things I do on the fly, whether I am in an elevator, whether I am in the bathroom, whether I am somewhere, if there is breaking news like that, I am able to articulate a few lines of my position. So I write, not in my name, GSTS. That was kind of the first statement that I posted everywhere. And the GSTS rank and file came and attacked me. They removed me from all GSTS platforms. WhatsApp, Twitter, they blocked me from everywhere. Before that, they would put actually sometimes, when I win an award, like for instance, Peace Award, one of our GSTS members has won, a Peace Award. When I win something, even though I'm not a GSTS member, but at least they would use my accolades for promoting the GSTS. So they removed me, they blocked me, they are angry at me, and then they went to the VOA even to try to discredit what we are saying, as if we are disgruntled former members of the GSTS. So this story is important because I am not a disgruntled. I want GSTS to be preserved. I want any Tigrayan institution, TPLF,
continue,
TDA, GSTS, SJT, every organization we have, I want them to be reformed, to be there in the future for the next generation. That's what I believe fundamentals. That's why we are calling for this recall and reform. So let me go back to the meat of the recall. So once all this have happened and things got loose, and GSTS is involved in doing really expanding and putting fuel into the fire, the political fire that's going on in Tigray. Well, we said, let's invite these guys. By the way, even their mandate has expired 5 years ago. It's not like 1 year ago. 5 years ago, their mandate has expired. They were only given 6 to 1 year to whatever election or selection process there was. They had limited mandate. They have overstayed their mandate. Now they are fractured in terms of leadership because you can only find 3 or 4 people, most of them in Europe, who are leading that whatever effort that they are doing. All this press releases that they are doing against recently against even the Tigray security forces, blaming them for coup,
Mhm.
blaming them for attacking civilians, blaming them for violation of civil rights. This is where the international media are picking all these statements, by the way, because they believe that the GSTS is a credible
Is a host. Yeah, is a host
organization. We would like it to be a credible, yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's not at this point. It's a very partisan and led by only a handful of people.
Yeah.
We could have stated their names here,
Yeah.
but it's not important, at least at this point.
Right.
But that is at the core of this is there are very few people who have been hostile, who have taken hostage GSTs to the effect of promoting a very specific agenda here, and that agenda happens to be not helpful to the scholars of Tigray, to the professionals of Tigray, as well as to the people of Tigray generally.
Mhm.
So what we said is, let's invite these people and talk to them. And so the first people we invited are the people who have registered this organization in California. There are 3 people. So one of them told us, actually, the chief,
Chairperson, yeah.
chairman, told us that he has resigned, years back. It turns out that he has resigned, actually, not years back, but recently.
Mhm.
So, good. We said, you have resigned. Why? Well, that's up to me, but I have resigned because I disagree with many things that GSTS is doing. So he has the same feeling like me and you. Turns out. But he was the guy who was the agent, the legal agent of the organization, and he was also the chairman. So the chairman and the legal agent has resigned from this organization. There are 2 other people. We wrote to them 3 times to come and talk to us so that we can talk about how to move forward with organizing, let's say, a reform process. They ignored our
They didn't show it. Yep.
messages. So we said, okay, let's come together. They will be forced to do it if we start a petition. So we started a petition, and we now the petition is live. I don't know if you have the link to the display of the flyer for the petition. You may have it somewhere.
Yeah.
And partly you
It's
have
in our
been
page.
involved also in this as a leader of the one of the
Okay.
sections of GSTS. So there are GSTS members, there are former GSTS members, and there are GSTS supporters who are scholars and professionals who have put together this petition. And the first step in this petition is to recall the 5 members of TIRA who are representing GSTS or scholars. At least in the formal document, it doesn't even say scholars, it says GSTS representatives. So that is one. And the second step is we would like scholars to be represented in general in government, right?
Mhm.
Like for instance, if you remember in Sudan, they had a group of people, if you remember, who were selected to be the civil caretaker government for Tigray when there was a fight between the 2 generals. So civilians would scholars, professionals would need to be part of this type of work. But we don't want them to be very political, because I think most of the political work needs to be done by the politicians. And the politicians need to come not as individuals, but representing political parties. So one of the things Tigray needs is, if there is any political operative that needs to be involved in government, I think they should come through a political process. That means they should have a political party, or of course, if they run as an individual and get elected, they could also come through that process. I'm not discrediting that aspect, but it's important that there is that honorable and valid process for somebody to become a big player, especially if you are going to become a vice president of the region.
Right.
I mean, that's like one of the top positions. You can
Absolutely.
just come by this loophole. I mean, the way General Adkan came to power pretty much is through a loophole, and not really through what I call a fair and transparent process, to me at least. And many people believe that, even in those who are doing the petition. So anyway, so it would be, the petition would do the recall. It would open a process for how scholars would be represented to help in scholarly and professional work of the administration. Last but not least, it would also lay out the steps for reform within GSTS. So these are the key tasks. I think there is no any other nefarious desire to destroy the GSTS. We are here actually to restore
and reform
and reform GSTS to become a viable and long-term institution that supports, I think, the scholarly and professional needs of the Tigray people, but with being laser focused on these issues. Not, I mean, if you ask me what GSTS did since the Pretoria Agreement the last 2 years, it has been like putting to letters after letter after letter. That's all. You don't even find publications that go into to be cited in the New Lines Institute, or big impactful international evidentiary documents related to Tigray. You don't find that. You don't find them providing financial or logistical support to the IDPs in Tigray. Solving water problems in villages of Tigray. I was in Amdo last February to do a humanitarian work for my foundation, and the amount of money that I took personally at that time was more than the 11 members of the GSTS who went that February to Tigray, took to Tigray at that time. Tigray was in famine at that time. Tigray had a problem. Personally, from my family foundation, I took more money. I tell you, I'm not lying here. You can go back and reference these numbers.
I hear you. I know that it was a shame and a kind of joke. People were joking all over social media that they took this little amount of money, and they said it. Sadly, it is from GSTS, which is claimed to have thousands of members.
I was disappointed. Many people asked me, Dr. Haile, at that point in Tigray, and there was a joke, in town about it. I'm going to tell you later after the program that joke. You will laugh. You will you will laugh at it. But so I think the gist here, the main point here, is that we are recalling the representatives, and there is, if you go to Dedebit Media, or even my Twitter platform, you will find this petition. And please, if you are a Tigrayan scholar, if you are a Tigrayan professional, in this case, professional means you can be a nurse, you can be a teacher, you can be a policeman, any professional person could sign this petition. It doesn't require anything. It doesn't even take 30 seconds. You just go in, put your name, and then just sign. That's it. So that is what this is. I don't think I forgot anything about this, Dr. Highland.
Well, I have one follow-up question on this one, and I'll also add up my final question. Well, you mentioned that the GSTS is blaming the generals and Tigrayan leadership, and blaming in a wrong way, which we understand, and which was actually a benchmark for the petition as well. One of the benchmarks for the petition. It's just it's a false fabrications against the Tigrayan leadership, which is going to be a big danger for the people of Tigray. So GSTS kept releasing letters after letters, press releases and stuff. So how do you suggest, or what is your suggestion to the international community and media, in a way that they should understand whatever comes up from GSTS is not representing the Tigrayan scholars, at least me and you and those who are signing on the petition. So they have to understand, even the international community needs to understand that GSTS is not representing Tigrayan scholars. And that's why we're just signing a petition, not only to recall the representatives of GSTS in Tira, in the Tigray interim regional administration, but also because we believe that it needs to be reformed in a way that could be trustable institution representing Tigrayan scholars. So what is like 1 to 2 suggestions you have to the international community in terms of understanding whatever comes from GSTS is my last question in this. But I have a follow-up question because we have to conclude in the
so
our time.
let me briefly answer this. It's a very important point, and then we will go to the next question.
Okay.
So this, Dr. Haile, I remember actually I had sent you a link to a video by Michelle Obama in one
Yes.
of the
Yes.
Democratic Party conferences before the election, where she talked about don't sit around and complain, do something, right? So
Yes.
for Tigrayan scholars and professionals, I hear you everywhere, here and there complaining about, the role of GSTS in all this, in aggravating, in making the situation in Tigray bad, from bad to worse, from
Right.
worst to worst. I think this is, the time to do something. And that do something right now is sign the petition.
Exactly.
I mean, that's simple. And, what 1 minute maximum it takes is 1 minute, sign the petition. Let's recall these people. And then that recall would take us to this, what I call lead the way for reform. So after saying this, now to the international community, I mean, like I said, GSTS had a role, and we would like that role to be strengthened and in representative of the wider, Tigrayan scholars and professionals. And remember, there are thousands of people in Tigray who are scholars, in the rest of Ethiopia, and then in the diaspora. I mean, we are talking about a large number of people. Even though GSTS in its website says it has 5,000 members, these are just names that it's collected through, somebody who has a master's, a bachelor's degree, a PhD degree, whatever. It collected through, efforts of sign up, right? So over the last many years, they have collected emails. People signed up to their Google Drive and things like that, and maybe they are counting all these numbers to be 5,000. There would be more than 5,000 scholars and professionals, all in all, including Tigray, the rest of Ethiopia, and the diaspora. Probably in tens of thousands of professionals and scholars. I mean, even the nurses in Tigray would be more than, I believe, 10,000 minimum. The teachers, these are professionals, right? So 5,000 is a very small number compared to what we are talking about. So, but then even this 5,000 includes me, you, who have disagreements with how GSTS, did or the practices of the GSTS over the last few years. So I think recognizing this problem, this challenge, I think the international community needs to pause for now until GSTS is reformed from taking whatever GSTS puts out there, whether it's a press release, a Twitter post. By the way, that Twitter post is handled by one man. The Facebook page is handled by one man. He puts there whatever he wants. Do you know that I am a Tigray scholar, but they block me from. Can you imagine? This is because that person doesn't like me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I contribute as a
And
scholar,
trading on your name.
as much.
And trading on your name,
I
they're
mean,
using your name, Tigrayan scholars, your
yeah,
name and my name and others' names as well, but blocking everybody that they may think are not in line with what they are doing.
yeah. So if I have actually went into some of the social media groups that they have, which I was a member of, and so the two people who have super admin role in this are, one is a guy in Switzerland, in working at the WHO. Sadly, this is not Dr. Tedros. This is a lower
Right.
professional there.
Right.
And then you have the chairman of this organization in Germany. They are the ones who just remove you from the platforms. Just remove, and then you deny you access to have. And then you have all these members in that platform who are not, saying no.
Mm.
This is what I say, waiting on the fence until that attack comes to you. Nagbani, they say in Amharic,
Yeah.
this could happen to me tomorrow. Unless they are thinking that way, morally and ethically, saying that you can't do this to, one of
A member?
significant contributors, I can say myself,
Mhm.
in this fight for freedom, for peace, for justice, for our people. So that's happening. And there was one platform where this happened to me, but luckily there was one person there who felt that it was unfair, and
Moving.
luckily he had also an admin role. I don't know, maybe they have removed his admin role at this point. And this was not actually also a GSTS platform, by the way. It was ATAD, or the Alliance of Tigray Diaspora Associations,
Mm.
which I am there because I represent the Tigray Diaspora organization.
Mhm.
But they just removed me from the platform. And then this guy had an admin role to return me back. So we are talking about this type of people who act, you know, from I think anger, frustration, not from reason. And this is really bad for GSTS. This is bad for our diaspora organizations. So I
Mhm.
think the message is the international community needs a pause to take any statements that come out of GSTS to be as valid representations of Tigrayan scholars and professionals. That's my advice to the international community.
That's really soundable one. I also support that. It's a good, a nice terminology that you used. Pause for a while. So that's what I would say as well. So with the interest of time, we may have to conclude our show today, but I want you to also advise the youngsters, the youth, because I know that you have been engaged in empowering and organizing the youngsters, especially who have been really active in our historic Makata campaigns in Twitter. I know that your time management skill is really um, something that we all will have to understand how you use it and then take that experience for ourselves. But I also believe that we still need that kind of person who can organize the youngsters, and the youngsters also need your advice, your suggestions, and your empowering and organizing skills, because we are still in a fight against the enemies of our people and the homeland. So what's your advice for the youngsters at the moment, looking at how Tigray is experiencing things that are going on, on the people, on the land? I would like to hear your last suggestion on this one.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Dr. Haile, for giving me the opportunity to say a few words, and reflect. I think what worked for during the Mahata time, in this partnership and collaboration between some of us who are in the kind of mid age. So we are a transition. We have this old guard people. We are in the middle, and then you have the youth that is coming up. So I was kind of, I always told them that I am kind of the bridge. Even if you want to talk to the older people, I can help because I can talk to these people. But also I could bring messages from the older generation to this youth. So kind of that was kind of my bridging role during that time. But I think the other thing that helped me to really connect with these people is, my savvy skills in using social media. I have figured out how to do, Twitter, how to make use of Twitter, how to make use of LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, like, so people were like, "Wow, Professor Mulugeta, you have an Instagram page."
I was even amazed.
So
I attended one of the sessions that you have been guiding the youth in on Twitter.
yeah.
So I attended it, and I was so surprised. That was my first time, anyway, during the Twitter campaigns. I myself was amazed, let alone the youngsters. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's why.
And the social skills that I, like this music, this poem, and things like that I do, add also flavor
Yeah.
to it because it's not like dry communication. I could actually bring humor. I like stand-up comedy. If I go to visit a city, I actually go to watch a stand-up comedy. I was on the Jimmy Kimmel show, I'm
Yeah.
famous. So all this helps me to kind of have that personal communication with people.
Mm.
So I think all this, the different social media platforms that have been created over the last few years, they just require you to be a good user of them, and to communicate with the youth especially. So I think that has been good. The other thing is, we were creative also in organizing some events, like for instance, We Are the World for Tigray.
Mhm.
So we used, Tigray was under siege during the Mahata time, if you remember, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Which now has again, is coming back. So we have to actually do the event of We Are the World this April,
Mhm.
and we have good reason now to do it because the siege has started with the uh, fuel embargo
Yeah.
that's going on right now in Tigray.
Mm.
So when we organize these events, always I put together a one pager or a half pager idea with what the goal and maybe the timeline is, and I give it to the youth to actually do the programming, do the implementation,
Mhm.
and still I am the face of it with them. I just go into the meetings, I am giving them my ideas, but most of the time, if you see all the events, they are chaired by a young person,
Mhm.
secretary, whatever treasurer, if there is treasurer, they are the young people. I am there like as a mentor
Mhm.
to help. So this has been, I think, a good practice during the Mahata time. We did We Are the World for Tigray. We did Tigray Can't Wait. Events like that.
Yeah.
And then because of my involvement, we tried to name, the name of this activity in the diaspora. that's where we came up with this terminology called Tigray Diaspora Forces, another TDF number 2.
Yeah, exactly.
We also use this TDF number 3 was Tigray Digital Forces. So these were also part of, I think, the semantics. And when we say we are TDF, we are Tigray Defense, Diaspora Forces. They use, they just like it. And then there were even naming ceremonies on Twitter space. Some of us, got some generalist names from Tigray, which I don't want to state here. So there was all this playing going on. But the whole purpose of it is not like to glorify people, but to motivate, to engage people. And when they come the next day, they are thirsty to take the next assignment, whether it's fundraising, resource mobilization, Twitter campaign.
Right.
So this was really an important infrastructure. I think, sadly, since the signing of the Pretoria Agreement, this was going down, down, and down. Now we are almost at zero level, and we need to,
Reignite
and then
that.
also the role played by organizations like GSTS, even including SJT, which was pretty good at this, became very, very toxicated. It became even SJT became a one-man show at the end of the day. All this had their own impacts on the youth and the diaspora. I believe it is time again, like Michelle said, for all of us not to sit and complain, but rather do something about it. I think that statement, do something about it, had nagar gawari is in Tigrinya, so I think that would be the most important message that I would like to pass. I think the letter writing, the campaign to talk to Congress people, and then these different activities. I believe that Dr. Haile Dedebit would probably broadcast our, we started the 36th anniversary of the We Are the World song. So it was 36, We Are the World for Tigray. We did 37, 38, 39, and this year is 40s, and we are going to do it in April. So we will be doing for the 40th anniversary of the We Are the World song, and we call it We Are the World for Tigray 40. So we would like to partner with you as we do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and we're willing to host that, to do whatever is expected from our side. Dedebit is there for the people of Tigray, and whatever is benefiting or is expected to benefit the people of Tigray we're more than happy to partner, let alone with you, with anyone who is interested to support the people of Tigray. So thank you, Professor. It's been a pleasure having you today, and I learned a lot. I always learn a lot from you. I read your posts, your articles, and you're just a model. If there was a word, explanatory word, I would use it. But you are a model, so keep shining. That's what I would say. And thank you very much for coming to our show today. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah. So I think I also would like maybe to take 1 minute to recognize your hard work, your dedication. But I think you persisted and insisted on and on promoting this. What you felt is truth. What you felt is going on in Tigray, and it turns out that you were right all along. And remember a year ago, I told you are the most listened to, the most heard media in the hotels. I'm not a sampler of every place in Tigray, but at least the hotels that I stayed, whether it was in Aksum, and they are big hotels, whether it was in Magala or Adwa, I have seen that. And I told you,
Right.
At that time, not today. At that time, I told you that I witnessed. So I think keep doing what you are doing. It turns out that you have this passion towards kind of finding truth and speaking truth to power. I think that is very important. And other media that spend time to just collect money by putting their camera live broadcast of like meetings and events, and sometimes those events have vulgar words even against the people of Tigray, insults against the women of Tigray, and live broadcast, and they are not ashamed of it. They are not ashamed of it, Dr. Haile. I mean, it makes, and then you say one word, with a slip of a tongue, and they become the arbiters of morality. They will come and tell you, oh, you should have said that, And I have seen that also today, with one person, talking to another person who attacked him, and then they are now saying, this morality, I call it double standard. So keep shining, and to all listeners of I think Dedebit Media. Let's support Dr. Haile and Dedebit Media in general. They need our support because he has survived. Now more than almost 4 years of supporting his media, his time, and all that. And then that he's not only survived. The financial circumstances, but also an attack on his life. I was really saddened. If you remember, I reached out to you immediately after I heard, completely shocked and saddened by what transpired in Atlanta. So, I mean, you have endured a lot. I think you deserve to be acknowledged. You deserve to be respected. More importantly, anybody needs to be respected, but importantly, people who are fighting for truth, who are fighting for freedom of the Tigray people, who are fighting for the justice and peace of the Tigray people need, I think, to be respected. And I respect you and for that. So I call upon, everyone. I think you see the funding options for, Dedebit Media at the bottom of the screen. But let's come together, help this media. Let's help him because he needs time for his family. He can't be on this media all day. Maybe if he has another person to help him, he could even be more productive. So he needs also time for self-care. Don't forget to go to your gym, Dr. Haile. Keep fit, keep healthy, and totally appreciate you and respect you again.
Will do. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you for joining us today in our show, the East African Affairs Show. And hopefully we'll meet you again on some other matters. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon. Is it evening? It's evening, right? Good night.
It's evening, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Have a good night. Okay, everyone. So our show today was really critical, I would say. And this is because it shows what's going on, not only in Tigray, but also in the whole East Africa. Tigray is the core of this East African stability. It has been and it is. That's my belief as well. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you're sharing our show to your connections. Have a good one.